So yeah, what's your name? Where have you come from? And what
My
have you
name
brought
is
with you?
Teresa Burridge, and I've come from Bodegas Urbina, which is a very small family-run single estate right up in the northern part of Rioja Alta. The Urbina family are four generations of family-run winery. It's a single estate. They have 75 hectares of their own vineyards,
Okay.
and they specialize in producing Riojas with great aging capacity, so reservas and grand reservas and crianzas.
That's the part. So I'm quite excited to get into some of those because we've just tried some of the. Well, I don't know at the minute in terms of what you've got available, how old things get, but you brought with you 2004. We went. That's as far back as we went, and it'll be exciting to cover that because we don't often get the chance to look so much at those older vintages and things like that. So
so Urbina are pretty unique in that sense because unlike most other Rioja producers, they actually specialize in producing wines with great aging capacity. And in the sense that where they're based is right up in the most northwestern corner of Rioja, which is a region where the vineyards are very high up. It's a cool climate. It's like the Highlands, very much cool climate. It's where, they produce wines with, fantastic aging potential.
Yeah. What is so are there, other than the climate itself, is there something in the soil or to do with the specific grapes that they choose or things like that? What is it that lends that potential to them?
Oh, very much so, yes. So Urbina focus very much on the vineyards. They believe that in order to have good quality fruit, you have to really spend a lot of time in the vineyard. The soils there are very important as well. They're very, they have a lot of clay calcareous soils. Which are perfect really for producing, grand reservas and reservas, which is what they do.
Known for age potential. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so obviously some of the younger wines that you brought with you have the organic label and things on them as well. Is there like a separate kind of, well, there must be a separate process to where they come about and how they're produced.
Yes, those are the Piqueras wines from Almansa. Yes, we also looking at the El Picoteos, which are an organic range which come from a winery called Bodegas Piqueras in Almansa, which is actually in the eastern part of Spain, between Valencia and Alicante, 100 kilometers inland, where the vineyards are pretty high up as well, 750, 850 meters above sea level. Almansa is a region that naturally lends itself to organic viticulture.
Yeah. And that's down to the quality of the soil there as well, or is that just a different
very much so
approach?
as well? Yeah, the soils there are very poor in organic matter,
right,
but rich in limestone as well.
Okay.
So they don't have to treat the vineyards because the temperatures there, the rainfall is very low, for example. So it's not a region that suffers from mildew or the diseases that are usually brought on by regions where there's high rainfall. So it is actually, even though those wines, the Picoteos, are certified organic, it is actually a region where it's not difficult to produce.
It lends itself.
It lends itself to organic viticulture.
So then, if we were to take a look at the two different wines, obviously we've got, to my understanding, a lot of the idea of what we do here on in this format is open up the nature of what wine is for people who maybe don't know so much. And to my understanding, Rioja is a lot more, as a wine rather than as a region, is a lot more strict in terms of production. But then I'm imagining that the Picoteo probably isn't as strict. Is there, what are some of the limitations to making wine in Rioja versus how the Picoteo can be produced? Is there a big
Well,
difference?
every wine region in Spain has its own regulations.
Yeah.
It's all under the rules of the denomination. So every region in Spain has a denomination who will basically set out the rules
Yeah.
on many things, in terms of viticulture, the yields, the grape varieties. So you can't just produce any grape variety
Yeah.
in those.
So it's right down to the
DO
varieties
is
as
like
well?
in Rioja.
Okay.
It's only specific grapes are allowed to be planted within that region, and the same happens in regions like Almansa, Ribera del Duero, Rueda, wherever the region is. It's very strictly and tightly controlled.
And within Rioja, then, what are some of the grapes that you're limited to? What will we always find?
The classic red grape from Rioja, the most widely planted, is the Tempranillo.
Ooh, okay.
The Tempranillo.
Yeah.
It's actually Tempranillo means temprano, which means early, and it's because it's a variety where it ripens early.
Yeah.
So
And then, so on the other hand, if we look at the Picoteo, is there a limitation to what can be produced in Almansa?
So if you go to Almansa, it's not far from the Mediterranean.
Okay.
So the influences are much more Mediterranean.
Yeah.
You're 100 kilometers inland, climbing up, but much more Mediterranean. And the variety that's most typical in Almansa is the Monastrell. Tempranillo is not a variety that plants well in Almansa.
Yeah. Okay.
Unlike Rioja, whereas Monastrell, you wouldn't find it in Rioja. First of all, it doesn't grow well.
Doesn't
there.
function. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then out of all of that, if we were to take in a more generic sense, what would you expect from a wine from either of those regions? What kind of, obviously not. You're going to get whites, you're going to get reds, you're going to get every sort of breakdown in between. But are there any typical flavors you're going to expect from the limitations from each of those two regions, or the strictures or anything?
I think so, yes. Even within Rioja itself, last year we celebrated 100 years of diversity within the Rioja region.
Yeah.
So it's 100 kilometers in length, and within that strip there are so many different styles. In the northern part, it's more influenced by the Atlantic, so you tend to get cool, more cool climates, and then the further south you go in Rioja to the southern part, it's more influenced by more Mediterranean climates.
So you get a little bit of both.
So
within.
within Rioja itself, you'll get a variation in the styles coming out.
There isn't as such like a stereotype.
No.
So you can expect quite a range.
It very much depends on the winery. It depends on the plots, the positions of the vineyards. They can all make a huge difference to the style coming out.
So what if we go just in Urbina then? What kind of, so obviously you've got a few with you here. It's probably, we can look at a few of them if you want in a bit of detail, but what are we getting from those?
Just to give you an example, at the moment with Urbina, the current vintages that we're on are 2015 Crianza.
Which we have here, don't we? Yeah.
Which we've had here. We've just tried. It's a delightful Crianza. It's nearly a 10-year-old Crianza, which is very unusual. Most Crianzas currently in Rioja are 21, 22 vintages.
Yes.
And then Urbina, 80% of their production is Crianza.
Right.
They don't produce Vino Joven. They don't produce young wine. So it's 80% Crianza, which is the 2015 vintage. And then we're currently on the 2006 Reserva Special.
Yeah.
Which is, so it was chosen specifically because they considered 2006 to be a very good vintage. And that year they produced just Reserva Special, which comes from their more premium plots, older vines, lower yields. This wine would have had more barrel age, a minimum of 24 months and 24 months in bottle. And then moving on from that, we're currently on the 2004 Grand Reserva Special, which is an exceptional.
It was, I remember from.
It's just you're talking about a wine that's over 20 years old, but it's still fresh. It's got this lovely freshness to it, and the fruit on it is still remarkable, and it's a delightful wine to be tasting, as we've just tried now.
Yes, that was because I don't often get. There's only been once or twice in an experience like that where I've tasted something beyond that sort of age, and it's a very special experience because you suddenly get to open your eyes a little bit to why we hold on to things for longer lengths of time, and where you get. So we're going to a little bit about the names that you went into there. You start to learn why those names have a bit of significance, like Grand Reserva and Crianza and things like that. Are there rules on where those names come from, like Reserva, Grand Reserva, and beyond, or is it more just
I mean, the Consejo, the advisory body in Rioja, have minimum regulations, requirements in order to classify, what is a Crianza, what is a Reserva, and what is a Grand Reserva in Rioja. But it can differ widely between one winery and the next. As long as they have those minimum requirements set by the advisor,
but it can be different.
I mean, Reserva in one producer may mean, just a 3-year-old wine of which 1 year is in barrel, which is the minimum requirement. But obviously you can't compare one winery to the next because they are very different.
Yeah. And then, so if we were quickly to look at the Picoteo as well, there were 2 of those that you brought with you. What do we get from those? What's the difference in terms of the outcome, or what are we left with in the bottle really when we?
Yeah, they're contrasting styles.
Very, yeah.
Yes.
And one thing you said when we were downstairs was the Picoteo has that appeal to younger people, and it was funny when you said that because I had just tried the. Is it Verdejo? Was it Verdejo?
Verdejo, yeah. The white is a blend of Verdejo with a splash of Sauvignon Blanc in it as well to give they really complement each other very well.
And I got that sense straight away. The Sauvignon Blanc, as soon as you said it, it kind of popped out. But also I knew exactly how that had been used to appeal to younger people, and how you can see trying to bring people into wine who maybe aren't, or not intimidated by it, but unfamiliar with it, I would say. It's very, very good for
it's
that.
It's a very approachable style. Yes. The word El Picoteo actually means picar, means in Spanish to go and have tapas. So the Picoteo wines were really introduced as sort of food-friendly wines to go out and have tapas with friends, sharing. It's a wine. Those wines are about sharing, enjoying with food, with light dishes. They're very versatile, and they're really lovely wines to have around food as well.
And what were some of the details just about the red as well?
And then they produce the El Picoteo Red as well, which is actually made from the typical red grape from the Almansa region, which is the Monastrell. And then it's got a splash of the Syrah as well. Oh, okay. So it's really fruity style with the spice of the Syrah.
Yeah, a little bit of boldness
and it's been very lightly aged in barrel as well. So it's about 3 months aging in barrel.
Yeah.
So it's an all-round very easy drinking red, but lovely fruit as well to be enjoyed with, tapas dishes as well. With charcuterie, it goes really well with cheeses as well.
Yeah. And would you say that, so to bring it all together, we've got 2 bottles here that are very, very good for maybe bringing people into wine.
Yes.
Especially with food, which I think not confuses a lot of people, but presents another layer of that apprehension almost.
Yes.
You've got and that's something that really easily introduces you, brings you in. How would you recommend to someone who is a little bit uncertain, how could you move from something very, very easy and friendly to something a little bit, not intimidating, but something a little bit harder to access, like a Rioja? Is it just a matter of patience, or is there something that you would say works in terms of tasting? Or
I think it's just sort of like, you start really by approaching more food-friendly, sort of easier styles, and then I don't know. My experience is that you progress from there, because then you want something a little bit more, and then you go on to wanting something, even better.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean. So it's also it's the occasion, I think, that's important
That's
as well.
true. Yeah.
I think it depends on what you're sitting down and eating as well. And I've always felt the Urbina wines are very gastronomic, and they go beautifully with roast beef, with meat dishes, with cheeses as well. They combine very well.
Okay.
So depending on the occasion as well.
To bringing them to the right place. And
Yes.
what was I was going to say something else about. It is a matter of taking your time, I think,
Yes.
and applying things rather than just trying to dive in, which I think a lot of people do, and that's where they go
Yes.
wrong. So yeah, there was actually one question finally popped into my head a little minute ago about, you talked about older vines. So I've had
Yes.
some really interesting experiences with different bottles from mostly Australia with vines, I think, that go to 125 years. Are there, do Urbina hold any special old vine plots or anything, or is it?
Oh,
is it just
absolutely, yeah. Actually, both do. I mean, Bodegas Piqueras have some very old stock there as well, very old vines as well. They've got pre-phylloxera Garnacha,
Okay.
which was because Almansa is a region which is very high in sandy soils as well.
And it doesn't allow phylloxera to take, doesn't it?
To infiltrate. So actually, Almansa was one of the regions that managed to retain some of their pre-phylloxera vines.
Yeah.
The Garnacha, for example, in Torena, they have very old vines, sort of 80-year-old vines there. And Urbina's the same. I mean, they work with very old vines as well. They're working with 40, 50, 60-year-old vine plots that are very old
that's
as
difficult,
well.
difficult to get.
They're able to maintain the yields low as well, which is essential for producing quality fruit as well.
Yes, because I think that was, I can't remember who it was framed it to me, but the idea of an older vine, I don't think a lot of people grasp why that's a good thing, why that's a good concept. And you're almost teaching them over time. They do learn, in a sense that through pruning and treatment and proper growing, they direct, not their energy, but they direct their nutrients and everything towards the branches that work. And then you get, someone described it as the vines get wiser as they get older, and they start to learn how to do things better themselves, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
So I always love the idea of an older vine production, because you do get that a sense that there's a family almost involved in passing on the method that they've applied to the same plant from.
Yeah, and that's the philosophy that Urbina have, that if they are going to be producing these Grand Reservas and Reservas, in order for those wines to retain the fruit over so many years, it's absolutely essential that they use quality fruit. That is, you can't use poor fruit and expect it to last for 25 years. It's just not going to happen. So their philosophy is absolutely vital that they spend a lot of time really ensuring that they can produce top quality fruit to be able to produce these wines, which can keep going for so many years. Really, otherwise it just wouldn't be possible.
That's excellent. So I've that's everything I kind of wanted to bring to the table today.
Thank you.
Is there anything, just as like a closing note, or anything you have for people who, again, leaning towards that audience who may not be as familiar? Is there anything you would leave them with, just to sort of inspire them, like a little bit of confidence, or something that inspire them to take that step towards something like an Urbina that's...
Yes, exactly. Well, I think when you're looking like in a region like Rioja, it's very easy to go to the supermarket and pick a bottle of Crianza, a bottle of Reserva at a price point. But if you're looking for something more special, it's good to look out for some of these smaller producers, which you'll never find in the supermarket, but they are so geared towards quality, and when you open a bottle, you can really see the difference. You can open a bottle of Crianza from Urbina, and it just tastes beautiful. You can tell there's a lot of love and care that's gone into producing bottle. You know what I mean? You can just tell by the first sip, you know.
Yeah, you could, and I could as well downstairs. You get that.
And that was just with the Crianza, which
Yeah.
is what we were trying earlier. It's just, you know, it's a beautiful bottle of wine, and definitely recommend the 2015 Crianza.
Okay,
as well.
fantastic. Anything that we've talked about will be available as part of this. So if anyone is interested, they'll be able to just scroll down and go straight to get it from us. So it should inspire a few people to reach out and take that. So and we can send it to them anywhere in the UK as well. So it makes that a little bit easier. But no, thank you very much for today. It was very, very eye opening, because we've had only a little bit of wine featured on this before, but some of the more iconic regions are something I've been very, very keen to get into. So this has really helped open my eyes to that. So I appreciate that, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you as well.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
All right.